Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and this video is going to be all the Blu-rays and DVDs that I picked up in the month of September. Didn't get all that many this month, but I've been saving up. I've just recently put in quite a large Vinegar Syndrome order and got a lot of other stuff coming on the way as well, so hopefully next month will be a bit more substantial, but got some great stuff this month anyway. First thing that I picked up is Bad Ronald. So this is a TV movie from the 1970s, and I've seen a lot of collectors show this off over the years. A lot of people have talked about it as a really good TV movie, and I have to say I really enjoyed it as well. Thought it was very good. It's about this teenager Ronald, and he's a bit of an outcast, and he ends up killing this kid from the neighbourhood. They get into a bit of an altercation, and his mum hides him away in the house during the police investigation. She hides him in this back room and boards it up, and he proceeds to live there until everything blows over. But during the course of this time, his mum is taken to hospital for an operation and she dies. She never comes back home. So following that, the house is then sold to another family who are unaware that Ronald is still living within the walls of the house. So it's really creepy, and there's a real kind of voyeuristic aspect to this that kind of makes you a bit uncomfortable, but really well made film. I'm glad I picked it up. It's one that I definitely enjoyed watching, so great recommendation here for a good 70s TV movie. So that's Bad Ronald. The next thing I picked up was The Barge People. I've heard a couple of reviews about this one. One person really enjoyed it. One person thought it was terrible. I really enjoyed it. I thought this was a really good creature feature. It's a British film about these two couples that are on this houseboat, and they're meandering it down the canals around the English countryside. And at first they have this altercation with these local ruffians, and then everyone involved is attacked by these barge people who are kind of like humanoid from the deep type creatures. But I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fantastic, and I really liked that they focused on the barge people, on the creatures themselves. It kind of looks like it's going in the other direction where they just dwell on the human drama and the human aspect. It could have gone like that, but when the barge people comes into it, it's all creature feature, and I really enjoyed it. So I myself would definitely recommend the Barge People if you want to see a fun creature feature. Okay, next movie I picked up, just because I'm saving money, I've just been looking online for cheap horror films, and this was one of a few. This is Dead Mary. Never seen it before. Did give it a watch. It's a bit like an Evil Dead kind of knockoff, but not really all that memorable. There's not a lot goes on, and there's a lot of kind of boring subplot of who's dating who and that kind of thing. It had its moments, but on the whole, not one that was particularly memorable or one that I'll watch again. So that's that one. Okay, next up from Code Red is the Deadpit, and I want to thank Steve from 80s Film Fan. He's just upgraded the Blu-ray of this, so he sold me this DVD at a really reasonable price. So thank you for that, Steve. That's much appreciated, and I really enjoyed this movie. It's one that I've wanted to see for a long time and didn't disappoint. It's a really fun B-movie of this set in like a mental asylum where this doctor was doing experiments years ago. And I think like an earthquake rattles the foundations of the building, and down in the basement it like unearths these zombie creatures which proceed to attack the staff and the inmates. A really fun film. I really enjoyed that one. So that's cool. Okay, next movie I picked up, again this was just cheap, and that is Final Destination 5. I wanted to watch this to finish the series, and I did a ranking video not too long ago. This movie I really enjoyed. Spoiler alert, it was number 3 on my ranking video, and it was kind of like formulaic. It followed the same formula, but I really like how this one tied things up at the end. I won't go into that, I don't want to spoil it, but it had a really clever ending, so I really enjoyed the film for that. So glad I picked that one up. Okay, next up again, this was just a cheap DVD, Flight of the Living Dead. So I watched this a long time ago when it first came out, thought it was okay. Watched it again last night actually, and thought it was okay. It's pretty good fun. Basically, snakes on a plane with zombies. If you like snakes on a plane, you're probably going to enjoy this. It's pretty good fun. There's some decent gore effects, some good blood in this one. It's got some decent characters thrown in as well, so a pretty fun movie overall. Okay, next up, I saw John from Project Ellsworth talking about this movie. This is The Fourth Kind. He really bigged it up, said it was a really good film, and it's always one that I've kind of skimmed over. I've never really paid it much attention, but from what he said, I thought I'd check it out, and I really enjoyed it. Quite a unique movie about alien abduction and that kind of thing. And what's interesting about this film is it's mixed with the actual movie and then scenes of what it purports to be are real life footage and recordings of the actual people involved. Now, I'm not quite sure how real the footage is. I haven't actually looked into the legitimacy of how real the actual footage is, but it's a really cool concept, and it really kind of adds to the movie and really gives it that creepy factor. So it's a film that I really enjoyed, so thank you to John from Project Ellsworth for recommending that. Glad to finally check it out. Right, next up is a movie that I'm really late to the party on. Only just got it for the collection, and that's Happy Death Day. But I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. Basically Groundhog Day, but as a horror film. So this college girl, she wakes up repeatedly on the same day where she is killed by a mass killer. So she has to then use the fact that she keeps waking up to work out who's killing her. So really cool concept. I like the character development in this as well. Same again as Groundhog Day, where she's not a likeable character. She's not a very nice person, but through the process of reliving the same day, she becomes a better person. I thought that was pretty cool, and I really like the Groundhog Day treatment being utilised in a horror movie. And the movie isn't original at all because the premise has been done, but it still felt like quite a fresh and innovative concept because I've never seen that kind of thing done in like a horror film or a slasher film, whatever you want to call it. So really enjoyed Happy Death Day. Glad that I finally picked that one up. Right, next up is another film that I've wanted to see for a long time. This is He Knows You're Alone, slasher film from 1980 about a killer going around killing brides-to-be. Pretty cool film. I enjoyed it. It was a good slasher. It's been a long time since I've watched an old 80s slasher film, so it was fun to watch one again. This one is most notable nowadays for being Tom Hanks' first film. He makes an appearance in this and does a pretty good job. So yeah, overall one that I really enjoyed, and like I say, nice to see an 80s slasher that I've not watched before. Okay, next up is Innocent Blood. This is another first time watch for me, a vampire movie from the 90s, directed by John Landis, so you get like the usual mix of like horror and comedy. Not quite as effective as like American Werewolf in London, but still a pretty interesting movie. I had fun watching it. This vampire woman, she ends up biting is like the head of a mob gang, played by Robert Loggia. So he then bites a few people. So you've got vampires in like a Goodfellas setting, if you will. And that was a really cool concept. I've not seen that before. I enjoyed like the mob aspect of this vampire story. It was pretty cool, and some pretty good effects as well. When people get bit on the neck, it's really bloody. It's not just like two little nips. It's like chunks of people's necks being bitten off. So that was really cool. So not the best vampire film I've seen, but definitely an enjoyable one. Next up, this is just another cheap DVD that I picked up, Intruders. This one I thought was a little bit of a missed opportunity. I watched it with my friend. We both kind of thought the same thing. It was okay. It was decent. It had an interesting concept of this faceless creature that kind of stalked children. Some of it was set in Spain, and it had a real Guillermo del Toro type feel to it. But ultimately, it was just never all that scary or captivating. To be honest, we both just kind of thought it was okay, just about. So interesting. It had its moments, but fell short a little bit, I felt. Okay, next up is Last of the Living. This is like a Shaun of the Dead type knockoff film. I think, if I remember right, it was made in New Zealand. And it's okay, it has its moments. A lot of the humour in this just wasn't all that funny for me. Like I say, it's in the same vein as like Shaun of the Dead or Cockneys vs Zombies, but those two are much better movies. If you've seen them, you've seen the better movies. But this one was okay. It was alright. Okay, next up is a box set that my dad got me, actually. I thank my dad for this. It's the Monsters Closed Casket Collection, the complete series. Never seen the Monsters before, so I've watched a few of these episodes and I've been enjoying them. Definitely a piece of the time that they were made in terms of the humour and the culture and things like that, but they made me smile. I watched a few of the episodes on like a Saturday morning, and it was nice to actually check out the monsters and that kind of thing. So thank you to that. Thank you to Horror Dad for picking that up for me. The next movie, this is another special film as well, because this is one that my dad recommended again, and that is The Psychopath. I don't get that many recommendations from my dad, because usually we've seen the same kind of movies, but he happened to watch this and then mentioned it to me the next day, and I've not seen it, so I picked it up. He thought it was really good. I thought it was okay. It's an Amicus movie. I've seen much better Amicus films than this one, but it was kind of interesting. It's these people are getting killed off, and it kind of relates to like this creepy doll maker, and I think the people that get killed, they have dolls of themselves made up before they get killed. So some pretty creepy stuff. I definitely enjoyed it. It's an effective 60s British horror movie. But in terms of Amicus, I've seen better. But again, thank you to my dad for recommending that. Okay, next up, another film that I've just seen knocking around for quite a while. This is The Rage. And this was pretty good. I had quite good fun with this. It's very mindless, very kind of B-movie-ish, but it's got some good moments, and there's never a dull moment in this one. I will give it that. So this stars Andrew Divoff, who's very underrated in my opinion, and he is like this rogue scientist working on treatments for cancer, but it's kind of a bit wayward, and he has created like these zombies that go around killing people, and they attack these teenagers that are travelling around in this camper van. Like I say, very mindless stuff. There's some terrible CGI in it as well, but the gore effects that are in it and the zombie effects that are in it are very good, and the movie does have the sense to move along at a pretty fast pace, so it's not really ever very boring, which is good. Okay, the next movie I got is Saint Agatha. I've never heard of this before. I've never heard anyone else talk about it. Found it for really cheap, so I thought I'd pick it up. It's not too bad. It's about this young woman. It's set in the 50s, and she becomes pregnant, so she's sent to this nun convent place to have the child and I guess atone for her sins or whatever with these nuns. But it's obvious that there's some other creepy underhanded stuff going on, and she can't leave, and a lot of the other girls are sort of attacked and things like that. It's not too bad. It's kind of creepy. It really felt to me like one of these just about average Netflix movies. It had that kind of feeling to it. Probably won't watch it again, but it was alright. It had its moments, and there was a couple of actually quite gory scenes in it that I didn't see coming for the kind of film that it is. So that's that one. Next movie from Scream Factory. Recent release by them. This is Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. I've never seen this. I've been eyeing up the DVD quite a bit over the years, but glad that I held off, because I picked up this Blu-ray instead, and I enjoyed the film. Thought it was a cool movie. It's got some really good practical effects in this and some really cool creature effects, so I definitely appreciated them. Had a lot of fun watching that, so glad to finally add that one into the collection. And the final film for this month from Redemption is Virgin Witch. This is a British film from the early 70s. It's about these two women who are hired as models. They go to this big country house to be models, but it's kind of like a front for witches. It's a bit like a witches' convent going on. It's not too bad. I've seen much better British movies than this, but it was entertaining enough. I had an okay time watching it, so not bad. So that's everything that I got this month, guys. Feel free to let me know what you think of any of those movies. Any that you like or don't like, let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.